Yeah, we're going to tee off all right. I'm going to tee off on Mr. Bob Costas. What a moron. Did you see him on CNN, Troy?
Blood money prick.
It's blood money.
I used to like Bob Costas. I used to really like him. He did a really good job with the Olympics. He's been a sportscaster forever. He's very knowledgeable. He comes off extremely well, but boy, did he step on his dick this time.
Big time.
What do you think of the controversy and how Mickelson responded to it yesterday?
Well, he's trying to smooth things out, but this is blood money. It's just no two ways around it. It's blood money.
And you know what? And disrespecting a guy like Greg Norman, you're a moron. Greg has done a lot of fabulous things. I'm sure a lot more than you've done, Bob. Just because your contract is with the PGA and he's doing something much bigger than you'll ever do, you're a little upset about it. Because I'm going to guarantee you, PGA, you guys got 20, 40, 50, 100 sponsors that deal with Saudi Arabia, okay? You guys are stepping in your own shit. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, they are, and we talked about this before, Hammer. It's like everything in our lives now is politicized. There's probably some politics about whatever's in my cup right here. It's just everything has to turn outside. And, of course, this whole thing stems from the new, LIV tournament, right? The LIV, which is L-I-V, yeah, which is Roman numerals for, 54?
Yeah.
So there's a new golf tour in Saudi Arabia called the LIV, L-I-V. And
I thought it was LIV.
Was it LIV? It could be LIV. I don't, however you want to pronounce it, I suppose.
Yeah.
It should be leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Because everybody's leaving the PGA to start playing golf on the live or live, you say?
Yeah,
live, whatever it's called.
Live.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we're talking about with it getting political, is because it's backed by Saudi Arabia, right? It's this huge fund. What is it, Hammer? It's like a
$600 billion fund. So, it's interesting that there's so much negativity in this thing, man. This is to bring golf, further. But the PGA is what's happening is the taskmaster PGA, the slave owner.
The overlord.
Okay? Yeah. No, I'm slave owner, okay? The PGA controls these 501Cs, and what I mean by that, each one of these players, okay? Each one of these players is a 501C. They're their own independent contractor.
Correct.
They can go work wherever they want to go work, okay? They're not an employee of the PGA. So you sanctioning them and saying, oh, they can't play because they're playing other events? I hate to tell you, 75% of the guys that play on the PGA play in world tours all around the globe.
But what are there, like 17 tours or something like that?
12
There's a Japanese
17.
tour, European tour. Yeah. And by the way, the European tour is not giving any crap to any player who wants to play in the LIV compared to the PGA. So
they know
Europe,
how important it is. They know how important it is.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, PGA. You're in a rude awakening when they decide that LIV or Live or whatever the hell you want to call it starts getting points, and their players get to go to the Masters and all these other U.S. Open tournaments.
The Ryder Cup. Can't
Right.
play in the Ryder Cup. You're not invited. In fact, you're out, right? So what's happening is these pro players are resigning from the PGA to avoid any future repercussions of playing in the live. Let's call it live. I think it is live. And playing in the live. These tours are set up differently, right? They're only playing 3 days. So it's 18 rounds at a 72 par course. So they play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only. So there's no Thursday, no warm up on Wednesdays, whatever. And that's 54 holes. And if you were to play that, and every single hole was 1 under par, that would be a 54 score. So that's where they came up with this 54.
Right.
But it's backed by Saudi Arabia, and there's this big outcry because what? Because Saudi Arabia is being blamed for really horrible humanitarian rights, and I don't know enough about it to speak on that. But the main issue was the murder of the journalist Khashoggi.
Listen, get over yourselves, people. What golf does compared to what Saudi Arabia does. Listen, Saudi Arabia's got their own problems, just like China, what Nike and the PGA deal with, and the NBA deal with China. They've all got their own problems. But golf brings people together, and it pays for a lot of things. It brings young people together. It does a whole bunch of cool things. I don't care if it's the PGA or LIV or the European Tour. They're all doing great things for charities. So if it's bad money, or what Bob Costas calls blood money, you moron, take that blood money and make it good money, all right? That's what these people are doing. And I'm going to tell you something. Every one of you cats that signed that contract with LIV, kudos to you. Because you got guaranteed money for 4 years, you're taking care of your family, you're spending more time, you're taking care of your business, your 501c, because it's got to be about you. It's not about the PGA.
Well, Hammer, look at a guy like Phil Mickelson, right? He was pretty vocal about this. He was one of the early subscribers to LIV Tournament, and he caught a lot of shit for it, right? I mean, he took a lot of flack, but he's also, how old is Phil Mickelson? I don't know.
50.
40? Is he 50 yet?
Yeah, 50, 51, something like that.
Okay, so give him, anyway. So how many years does he have left? Probably quite a few playing golf, but it's a very physical game, by the way. But the point is, if you can get a tour saying, we'll give you $200 million just to come play on our tour for the next 4 years, that's separate from any winnings you may have.
What independent businessman would not consider that deal?
Like Arsenio Hall would say, things that make you go, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and all these players are doing the same. Now, is it a big money grab? I don't think it is. I mean, if it were me, and if I could do that in my real estate business, and somebody said, hey, I'll give you $200 million as long as you can sell houses in that city instead of that city, bye-bye.
But it's interesting. They made it so political, and that's the sad part about this. Bob Costas on CNN bitching about him. People are bitching about Phil Mickelson on ABC. Well, Greg Norman, very eloquent speaker, very smart individual, goes on Fox and says, hey, this is what I want to do. I just want to be inclusive. I want to have an amazing event, and we want to be a part of this golf association. We want to be to play with the PGA and work in concert with them. But then the PGA, I mean, Jay, the head of the PGA, give Greg a call. He says he's been calling you. Call the guy, right?
Yeah, he's trying to work out a reciprocal situation. And the only thing stopping that is the political aspect of this whole thing.
I'm going to tell you, I give kudos, though, as I said, to all the players that have decided to be smart.
Well, speaking of that, just real quick, Bryson DeChambeau, $135 million to come over. Sergio Garcia, Taylor Gooch, Dustin Johnson just committed $125 million. Brooks Koepka today, I think, signed up.
Well, let's
Mickelson.
back up about Koepka, because his brother, they got two brothers.
Yeah, and he signed up too.
No, only one brother.
No, there's two of them now.
They both signed now.
They both signed up.
Because he was saying, if he wasn't going to do it, and
he did.
He praised his brother and said, hey, I love my brother, and if he wants to sign up, that's fine. Guys, it's a business decision. This isn't life or death. If you want to talk life or death, go talk to Nike about their sweatshops in China.
There you go.
Jesus, I mean, listen, if you want to be that person and go, oh my God, these atrocities, well, then you can't be involved with it at all, okay? You better not have any stock in Nike. You better not like the NBA. There's a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing if you're complaining about a little golf tournament about 8 frickin' tournaments. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I understand Tiger Woods was actually offered a high 9-digit figure to switch over, and he hasn't done it yet. He's undecided at this point.
Well, the thing about Tiger is that it took Greg Norman a year to really decide if this is what was going to happen, and Phil said it took him a year too, and I get it, but at the end of the day, there's only one thing that's super important. Listen, you fans out there, they all love you, but their families come first. And if I've got a guaranteed $200 million, I'm sorry, I got to think about me and my fam first. Don't you think, Troy?
Well, and plus, and again,
it's business.
I don't want divorcing myself from the Saudi Arabia human rights issue, which again I don't know enough about to speak on. Yeah, I mean. That look at Saudi Arabia. It was gorgeous. Some of those cities they're going. There was Dubai is like phenomenal in that whole the United Arab Emirates. But I think it's going to be a really, really beautiful tour for these players because it's less time on tour, as you mentioned already, Hammer, right? and it's more money for their families. And it's like, I wouldn't call it a big money grab. I mean, if somebody offers you, the thing about boxing, right? You either got a chance to fight him or him. You know, you make $200 million if you fight him, or $50,000 if you fight him. I'm going to go fight that guy, right? Because it's
well, here was
what you do.
Here was Phil's big thing. Okay, besides the money, all right, the money's a big thing.
Of course, the money is a thing. Not ignoring that.
When he did some commercials for his charity a couple years ago, he had to pay the PGA a few $1 million for his own likeness,
right?
Because they own everything about him while he's on the PGA. That's not good business. Okay, not for the players. It is for the PGA, but for the players, they're getting screwed. And I think, guess what? PGA, you're going to get a little slap on your fanny and say, you better start playing with the other school kids in the sandbox.
Yeah, and again, I guess I keep jumping back to this, but Jamal Khashoggi, who got murdered at the embassy in Turkey, he was lured there supposedly by.
Why do you keep going back to that?
Well, because this is why the controversy is going on. Otherwise, without that controversy, everybody would be welcoming
That's
them.
only a minute. That's only one bullshit fucking booger they're throwing on the plate, dude.
Well,
I mean, listen.
That's big,
there's been a lot of fucking atrocities that have happened there. Okay, in Saudi Arabia, just like there has been in every country in the world, including the one we're sitting in.
And women's rights, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And gays. I mean, the whole bit.
They're way behind.
They're throwing people off buildings. It's ridiculous, right?
You know what, Hammer?
That's not what we're talking about.
If you really think about it, if this tour can succeed like we both think it will, including the money they're throwing at it, maybe they'll look at themselves, because they call this, what does it call it? Sports washing, right?
Right.
But if they can really turn themselves around, if they can really make a difference, and this golf tour helps implement that, who's not for that? You can't just say, "Oh my God, they've done this before, and they can't do that," and this, we can't talk to them.
I'll tell you,
that's not moving forward.
I'll tell you who's not for that is
Bob Costas.
Jay and the boys over at the PGA.
PGA, they're shitting themselves.
They're still plantation owners, man.
Yep.
And they want to be plantation owners,
like the Masters, right? We talked about the Masters. You couldn't have a black person couldn't join that club until like what, the 80s or something like that. It was like what?
86 or something. Actually, one of the caddies became
That's right.
One of the first members or whatever.
Right.
But that's all stupid, guys. I mean, these morons. I don't care where you're at, if you're at the Masters or the PGA, whatever. Any exclusivity to anyone is foolish. All right.
100%.
So that I don't even listen. If a woman wants to play on the PGA with the boys and is good enough, I think they should be able to, right? But open that can of worms. We had this conversation before.
We did.
About transgenders, right? And they've just taken that thing away.
Yep.
That boys can't play with the girls.
Yeah, no transgender can compete in the female
and they
pro
say
sport.
They say it's a double standard, but anyway, I digress from that one. But so I'll be flying for that one forever.
Lure.
But listen, I was blessed to live in a family that I grew up at a country club, the whole bit. Dad loved golf, mom loved golf. I've got a bride that's a great golfer, and I've golfed all around the world. And I will tell you, golf has given a lot to the communities that it's in and to charities.
It may be the biggest participation sport in the world, golf.
Maybe.
I mean, really. I mean, everybody loves to play, and they may not be good at it, but it's going to change the complexion. We're going to have people watching this show, Hammer, that are going, you know what? Don't screw with my professional golf association, but it's going to look completely different starting today, because those big names who got kicked off of the PGA because they went with LIV, they can no longer play. Like you said earlier, they can't play in the championships. They can't play in any PGA-sponsored tournament. So it's going to look completely different. There's going to be some people rising through the ranks, right? There's going to be some young people coming up, not having to compete with some of these guys in the PGA, which is interesting, which could also be good, right? It's good for the sport.
Well, here's the beautiful thing. They really thought this thing out, and they got these guys under contract for 4 years, okay, for that money.
Right.
So they have 4 years to figure this thing out, right? Instead of just, a flash in the pan.
Right.
And that is not my cell phone, I promise you. Yeah.
Rookie Hammer with his phone on.
Well, what do you do? Damn, Adam, I told you to put that thing on silence. Fucking Adam.
I can only send you so many dick pics.
Yeah.
No more dick pics.
No dick pics. Damn.
So, guys, at the end of the day, my take on this, and I'd love to hear you guys' comments, and I love golf, and listen, I love the PGA. I mean, I grew up, and Tiger, I hope you go to this new one also. I hope you guys become inclusive so you can all play together, and so us fans aren't hurt because the PGA plantation owners want all the money.
I just thought of a real cool side angle to this whole thing, and that's betting, right? I would prefer to be able to bet on Phil Mickelson, not just what he shoots or what he plays, but if he's going to play in the U.S. Open, or is that week going to also be a tour in live somewhere else, right?
Well, no,
they should be able to bounce back and forth with any tour they want to play.
No, the thing is, they've already mapped all that out. I mean, that's why it took them a year or 2 years to figure this shit out.
Well, no, but what I'm saying, they should be able to bounce between the tours,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
Why not? PGA,
Why not?
wake the hell up.
Yeah. Guys, PGA, wake the hell up. Catch you next time.